Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me again. I have some thoughts about events that I wanted to share with you. And I put it on my blog. I don't know if everybody loves to read or if you'd rather watch a video. So I figured I would do the same topic here, which is basically about our downtowns. As many of you know, I am a nonprofit and management consultant, but I do a lot of work with Main Street programs because I used to run one. And I absolutely love our historic downtowns and everything that Main Street stands for. There's a National Main Street program, for those of you who don't know, and most states, I think all of them, have a state level Main Street program. And then it trickles down into the communities. And if you know where you are, where you live, probably in your town or the next town over is a little historic downtown. It's got your courthouse, there's usually a post office, there's some retail places, some restaurants, and all the buildings are 1 to 200 years old. And the Main Street programs are meant to protect that, to promote it, to help bring business downtown and make sure that the buildings are up to date and up to code, that they're appropriate for our businesses, and that it's a vital happening place where people want to go and have fun, where they want to shop, where they want to dine, where they want to work, start a business, possibly live. And so as a Main Street manager, which there are several hundred, if not thousands of them in the country, have the job of trying to help promote all of that in the downtowns. And it's difficult. It is challenging. It is gratifying. It is an amazing job. I enjoy doing it. I did it for 5 years, but it definitely has certain challenges. And one of the challenges that I face that I think is pretty common in downtowns among Main Street programs is to hear the retail business owners complain about the events that we would throw. And those events would be, some of them somewhat small, some of them would be very, very large with, tens of thousands of people that would come to the downtown. And what would happen is, because the events would be large and there would be, street festival type of events that were open to the entire community, we would close Main Street, or the police department would close Main Street or some of the adjacent side streets. And the retail merchants would complain. When you close the streets, it's bad for business. When people can't park in front of my store, they don't come to my store. When you throw events, I have fewer people who shop. I have more people who only want to use my bathroom. People are shoplifting from me. People aren't spending money. And it was one of the struggles that so many of us had. And we would just, kind of roll our eyes and think, oh, you know what, we're doing this for all of downtown. It might not be good for your business, but it's good for the downtown. It's just good, in general, for the whole of everything that I'm trying to do. And I just felt like so many of us really weren't paying attention, weren't listening, something that I think I can see with much better perspective now that I'm not responsible for, being in charge of everything in a downtown area and its success or failure. That after so long, especially because I'm still hearing those things and working with different communities, and as a person who, one of my best friends in the entire world is a retail business owner in a downtown on Main Street who still complains of the same things. When there are events, when the streets are closed, I do less business. And after hearing this, it's been a dozen years now. It finally started to sink in. Maybe they're not lying. What a radical thought, I know, right? Maybe my best friend is not lying to me, and maybe all the other people who have said this aren't lying either, because really, what is the incentive? What is the incentive for them to not be telling the truth, for them to just be complaining to complain? If the downtown events were bringing them business, if they were making bank on those days, if closing the streets meant thousands and thousands upon people were shopping in their store where normally they might see 100 in a day, now they're seeing 1,000. Why would they complain about that? Wouldn't they be trying to have more of it? Wouldn't they want the streets to be closed just all the time? So really started to think and listen that these events that we're throwing in our downtowns, they're great for the community. I am not saying that we should not host events in our community, because I know the community loves them. I know they have a place. I know they have value. But as Main Street managers and people who are working in our downtowns to promote economic vitality and economic development, this is not what our events are doing. Our merchants are telling us your events are slowing business. They are not encouraging business. And, when I really started to think about it and talking to people who are going to events and even watching my own behavior when I go to events, I've gone downtown for the event. I have not gone downtown with the mindset of, oh, while I'm there, I could do this and this and this, and I've gone and done X, Y, and Z. I've gone downtown for a very specific amount of time for a very specific purpose, and when it's over, I leave. I do not accidentally wind up just going downtown and spending money and, visiting the retail shops. Now, a lot of the restaurants make bank during those events because what else can people do? Well, they're going to want to use the bathroom, and the restaurants have bathrooms, and they know this. They're going to get hungry. They're going to want to eat. They're going to want to drink. So yes, they will absolutely be frequenting the restaurants. The restaurants thrive during event time, but the retail shops, not as much. Not unless they can find a real way to attach themselves to that event, which is not common. So I implore you, if you are a Main Street manager or involved with a Main Street organization, on the board, on a committee, volunteer, bring it to everybody's attention. Question it. What is the value of the event we're doing? If it is for economic vitality, then let's find another way to bring people downtown with the intention of visiting the retail shops, with the intention of spending money, with the intention of supporting small, local, mom and pop type businesses. That is not the intention of the people who are coming to these events. They may be some of the same people who would be interested in frequenting the shops there, but it doesn't mean that they've come downtown for that time. And yes, there has always been the argument of, well, we're bringing people downtown now, and maybe they're just noticing what's here and becoming more familiar, and they'll come back later. But our retail merchants are telling us that they need a much faster line of return on investment for them. Realistically, think about it. You are shutting them down from earning a day's wages, a day's living for themselves, for their employees. If they're thriving on a normal Friday night, but then you have an event on Friday night, and that event, they only do half of what they normally do, that should tell you something. That should be a wake-up call. Not all of your merchants are going to share their specific numbers with you. But again, I go back to, but why would they lie? If the events are really good for business, they would be encouraging it. They would be loving it. They would be asking you to, begging you to close the streets every day. So let's be more intentional with what we're doing for economic vitality. I know it's part of the 4-point approach. Let's come up with other reasons to bring people downtown. And I have to say, I was thrilled. As I put this on my blog, a day or two later, I got a message from the Main Street, the National Main Street Center, Main Street America, that one of the movement founders of Main Street, her name is Mary Means, had given feedback after we were all at the national conference last month. And basically she said, you guys need to lighten up. We put this 4-point approach together. I don't know, 40, 50 years ago now, because of what was happening in our downtowns then. And you're not facing the same challenges we were. So you don't need to take everything we wrote and, keep it as gospel forever. It was not meant to, to address every challenge throughout time. It was, here's what's helping us with what we're dealing with now. And back then when they were doing it, I think it's late 70s, early 80s, when the movement got started, was basically hosting events because downtowns were literally ghost towns. People had abandoned them. They built malls, they built strip malls. Nobody was coming downtown at all. These are 200-year-old buildings that are just, might as well tear them down. They're not being utilized. They're not being saved. They're not safe to, inhabit or put a business in. So there was no reason to come downtown. So they were hosting events because they wanted people to see that things were improving downtown. The buildings were being restored and renovated. Businesses were being established there. It wasn't a matter of come and frequent the businesses. It wasn't for economic development so much as just to show people things have changed. There is a reason to be downtown. It's not derelict. It's, you're not going to get mugged and murdered. Your buildings aren't going to fall down on you. They hosted events because literally it was the only way to get people to come downtown. And we don't have that challenge now. Downtowns are really cool places. A lot of them are thriving now. So instead of creating events just to bring people downtown, let's create marketing type of events for economic development. So let's rethink how we do this. Let's rethink how we bring people downtown. I don't have all the answers. I don't know what the best solutions are for that, but just hosting a community event, a street festival, is not going to do it. And that's usually a good way to upset your merchant. So the biggest suggestion I have is, after ignoring them and rolling our eyes at them for so long, let's ask our merchants. Retail shop owners generally are pretty creative and independent thinkers. So ask them, what do you think would bring more people to your door? What is the kind of foot traffic you want to see in the downtown that is going to help your business? What can we actually do that you think would be helpful and valuable to making your business more successful? Let's try to do more of that in our main streets. Now, I do remember, as a Main Street manager, you could ask 100 different retail merchants what the solution is, and you were going to get 100 different answers. But isn't that good? You can go downtown and talk to your retail merchants and say, we want to put together things that have much more value to you economically. What do you think the solution would be? And have 100 different answers, 100 different things that you could possibly try, or at least 100 different things that you could take and narrow down to, okay, here's the top 10 that we're going to try this year, and see, let's see what sticks, let's see what works. Let's try something different. I love this Mary Bean person. I'm sorry that I didn't get to meet her at the conference, but in her own words, let's lighten up. Let's do things a little bit differently. Let's shake it up. Let's be more intentional. Let's create some actual economic vitality for our downtowns. And if you have some great ideas about what would work, please put them in the comments below. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.